We're here to talk about the Pelicans win streak. They have won 2 in a row for the first time this season since opening night. And let's talk all about it.
The New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson. And Holiday, the dribble penetration. So tough going to the goal. High above the rim to rip it down.
Mason, Jeremy, happy New Year. Good to see you guys. This is our first pod of 2025. And look, the Pelicans are undefeated in 2025. Is that, no, they're not. It's like I got my dates mixed up.
You got your dates mixed up. They lost the first game. They did lose the first game in 2025.
Despite Jimmy Butler's best efforts.
Yes. Yes.
I thought they were doing New Year's in never mind. I had the dates definitely mixed up. Oh, we got our friends watching us. We got our friend Poe, we got our friend Ben. Greetings and salutations to everyone as well. Thanks for joining us. I think more of you guys will start to tune in. How was your guys' New Year? I understand for the city, it didn't start off on quite a happy note. Just want to check in with you guys.
We are boring, so we stay at home. But prayers, thoughts, condolences to all who were unfortunately traumatized by that event. Yeah, man, it's crazy. But we were drinking non-alcoholic champagne at midnight.
Yeah, tough or very, very sad news to open the year in New Orleans. We were equally boring for our New Year's as Jeremy, but that's kind of life with a 2-year-old. So yeah, but all good. Ready for apparently more of the same in 2025 when it comes to Pelicans basketball. So let's go.
More of the same, meaning wins, because the Pelicans do have more wins than
that's what I meant. Yes, definitely
in the new year. Look, I think it's funny as we were talking to our Discord friends, and there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff going on in the chat where folks are like, I don't know, this better not mess up the lottery odds. And I think the lottery odds right now are safe, right? Like they're gonna win games. That's just gonna happen.
The Jazz are winning. They're beating the Magic right now. If you're worried, the Jazz are beating the Magic.
Yeah. Anyways, it's pretty interesting that these Wizards were the get right for our Pelicans, who were struggling. Started off with a CJ McCollum 50 bomb, and then followed up by a really strong victory in Washington. Unfortunately, Trey Murphy went down with a late game ankle injury in the third quarters, going for an offensive rebound on JV. So I think the take may be intact for a little bit longer. I don't know about you guys. Where you at on that one?
Hey, JV told that dude stop stealing his rebounds. He told him for years to stop doing it. And now I guess
JV did tell him that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see how long Trey's out for. It looked like he was limping off a little bit on his own power at least. But I mean, if I look at the upcoming schedule, I feel like maybe the only. I guess there are a couple toss-up games. I was trying to say like either the teams they're playing are pretty not great, not all, or really good. But Minnesota doesn't qualify as a really good team right now. They qualify as pretty average. And so that, who knows? Maybe with Trey swings it a little bit,
Speaking of 50 balls, Anthony Edwards, 10 of 15 from 3, 16 of 31 overall, 53 points. And, buddy, it was the funniest 50 ball I've ever seen in a long time. He was not looking at anybody but the hoop, buddy. It didn't matter. Make or miss. Just give me the ball and get out the way, yo.
It's funny because I was at the Pistons game on Friday night when CJ was dropping his 50, and then I didn't go. I was doing other stuff on Saturday night, and then of course that's where Ant drops 50 and K drops 40. So I can't watch a 50-point game. I won't get it. I can't even have nice things watching games.
It's funny because like I was joking with Bill Guillory about like when's the last time we saw a 50 ball in the Smoothie King Center. We're both like, oh yeah, Devin Booker. It wasn't from a Pelican. It
Okay,
was
why we
from
had to do that, man? Why? Why? 'Cause I
Like
was,
twice? Did you do it twice?
yeah.
Twice, right?
Here's the crazy part. The 50 ball I thought of was Anthony Davis' 50 ball against the Suns. So apparently, if Phoenix is in the arena, it is gonna go down.
Yeah. Look, I think, for a couple of things, the comments are coming in fast and we appreciate that. So, with that funky, the bottom three do indeed have the same lotto odds. That's all you really need to get to. And even the fourth, the fourth team. So the bottom three all have a 14% chance at the number one overall pick. And then the fourth team has a 12.5% chance. So you only drop a percentage and a half down if you were the fourth worst team. And then the fifth worst team has a 10.5% chance at the number one overall pick. And so, again, these flattened lotto odds really, really do help a lot of teams. And as long as you're in that bottom four, man, bottom four, even bottom five, you have a more than solid shot of coming up with a really, really good pick. And yeah, I think not to be worried there. I think our friend Reload just what is on everybody's mind right now. This is what really needs to put Trey back on the bench. Zion is literally right around the corner, likely playing next week. Yeah, I feel like we're stuck in this world where Willie Green doesn't have to make an actual decision on the starting lineup and who to bench.
Oh man,
this is a funny team, man. This is a funny team.
Yeah. Oh, another really good comment. John, welcome. He says it's wild that the worst team hasn't won the lottery since the redistribution of odds. You remember the Pistons who went through that historic losing streak and ended up with the fourth. Was it the fourth pick or was it the fifth pick in Ron Holland? Fifth pick. Yeah, they fell all the way out of the top four, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Anyways, let's drive the conversation back to Pelicans basketball. CJ, I think I want to talk about CJ for a second because as impressive as the 50 ball was, and I think it was super impressive. It's the first one the Pelicans have had since Anthony Davis. And the only other player in Pelicans Hornets history has been Jamal Mashburn to reach that total. So it's been really, really impressive. He gave an extended post-game interview after the game, extended 16 minutes long. And he was quite candid with what he was saying. And I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff said on that press conference. But to me, that press conference came off as a very subtle, very professional advertisement for himself to other teams and other GMs, letting them know, hey, I am a professional. I am physically ready. I am mentally ready. I play the right way. I uplift people in the locker room. I contribute at a high level. Come get me. That was my reading of between the lines. I'm curious if you guys had any opportunity to watch any of that press conference.
Not only have I watched it, the key quote that you didn't mention is my window for winning is right now. That was the one that tells me, oh, he understands the lay of the land, what's going on. I can't have the last part of my prime where I still can shoot the ball, I can still get open, be on a team that's going to be in the deep lottery. Now, I don't think that was his hope at the beginning of the year. And also, like, if I'm on a playoff team, if I do well in the playoffs, I get one more big contract before it's all said and done. Maybe I could get something larger than what Klay Thompson got for his last contract. So, yeah, it was a big advertisement, and it's great to have a big extended advertisement with a 50 ball. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah. I can't help wondering if this in any way, I'm thinking about this like live as we talk about it, but like if this any way impacts Brandon Ingram in the sense that if you think that CJ's not the Pelicans can't get positive value for him, so they're not going to try to trade him. So they're going to try to trade BI. Versus if the Pelicans suddenly have a CJ market, have a trade offer that is interesting enough to them to consider, and then they say, now we're under the tax. We don't have to trade you BI if we don't have anything we like, and now we're just going to ride this out. Like, I'm not sure that there's a decision that BI can possibly make that to change anything mid-season, but it is. I mean, I do wonder if there's any sort of implication there as to what CJ having a market. Maybe 2 weeks ago he may not have for the price that maybe the Pelicans would want. Maybe it's different now. I don't know.
No, I think go for it, Jeremy.
No, I was saying you brought up F Funky's comment. I can go further back than just the last 5 games. He is leading the Pelicans in scoring since Brandon Ingram went down. He's putting up 23.9 points a game on 47, 40 and a half, and 76 splits. Now, granted, the last few games, especially the 50 ball, is boosting that up, but he's been the best or second best scorer since BI's been down, and now he's leading because the 3 ball is going in again. So, yeah, this is a great opportunity. He normally gets hot around December, January for the last couple years. It's a great opportunity to put himself on the map. Hey, come get me. And the Pelicans would be more than happy if that's his intentions, but be more than happy to say, hey, we could get positive value for CJ. That's a good deal.
Yeah, he it was really funny because he said, I haven't shot the ball well, but I'll be at 40% in 6 days. He was like 34% coming into that game. It was like 36 and a half. After it, he went, I think, 6 for 11 tonight, or something similarly absurd. So, yeah, might only take
Updated stats, 37.8% on 8.5 threes a game.
that man knows what he's talking about.
Hey, he put the work in. He keeps telling us he put the work in, baby.
Yeah. And so a guy that's that high volume, um, he doesn't have a long-term contract. He's probably going to have a moderate acquisition cost. And as he said, his window of winning is now. Certainly seems like someone that can provide value to a lot of these teams that are weighing, should we make a play for Zach LaVine? Should we make a play for Brandon Ingram? Should we make a play for Jimmy Butler? Those type of things. And I think some of the questions that come with these big moves is, obviously the salary is the number one question that comes with these big moves, but the other one are like, hey, do we want to fit in these larger pieces, and will that cost us play time for our younger players? Will that cost us resources elsewhere because of what it takes to fit these guys in? And I think if you look at all of the guys available that might be available on the market, CJ seems to come up as one that is relatively easy to incorporate mid-season without having to do any kind of overhaul for your team's offense or structure. And he's not going to come in there and pretend like he's the number one guy in any team. He's just not going to do that. And so I look at a few teams. Like we can talk about CJ destinations, but Mason, I want to hit about your Brandon point. I think, if the Pelicans are able to get the right deal for CJ, I think the likelihood that Brandon just walks for nothing increases, in my opinion, because then you feel comfortable, like, hey, we got off of CJ's money, or we got things of value for CJ. We don't have to do a bad deal, and a bad deal being you're taking on 4 years of bad money, or you're taking on the guys that you don't want for super protected draft picks. There is a merit to just letting that contract expire and just, washing your hands of it and being like, cool, he did his time here. We're gonna, if we can accommodate a sign and trade, we'll do it. But best of luck to you. Thank you for your time. And then you head into next summer with whatever you get for CJ and a relatively lean salary structure moving forward. CJ would be on your books, or no, CJ wouldn't be on your books. So you would have traded him in this scenario. You basically have your core invested. You'd have Zion, DeJounte, Trey, Herb, which Herb would be extension eligible, and you're kind of looking at what you want to do there. And then obviously your rookie contract guys like Messi and whoever you, Hawkins and whoever you pick up. let's talk about. Oh, there's a couple of comments coming in. So let's discuss some of these comments first, and then let's talk about what CJ's market could be. We have a comment from Chris here. Do you see this team ever putting a stretch five next to Zion? Any way you could package BICJ Herb for Keegan and Miles Turner in separate trades. DeJounte, Trey, Keegan, Zion, and Turner as starters. That would be an incredible starting lineup. To answer your question, Chris, I don't, I think the team has tried at different junctures to acquire a stretch five. It's just been a little bit difficult in terms of the asking price. Obviously the Miles Turner one, the rumored trade was the number 4 pick and some stuff during Zion's first year. And then, Indiana said no. They made repeated pursuits over the past few years. Indiana said no. So Indiana really hasn't shown any motivation to move Turner. And then Keegan, I don't think Sacramento's going to trade right now unless they're trying to get a star. So if you look at those guys, you look at the rest of the stretch fives on the league, it's what Towns and Porzingis and Wemby and Embiid and Jokic. They're just, and then I guess Brooke Lopez. It's just not many that are available. So I think they'll try. I don't know if they'll be successful.
I also I'm a broken record when it comes to this, but I do not consider Miles Turner as a stretch five. I just don't. He's a career sub. Herb Jones is a better 3-point shooter than him. The volume is not that different. I'm not. No one's gonna go run out to break their. Miles Turner's not gonna break any defenses because he's pulling up from deep. So I feel like there's other things that Miles Turner brings to the table that are positive, but I don't see his 3-point shooting being that much of an incremental benefit. Schmidt, you mentioned the guys that are true stretch fives, in my opinion, and I don't put Miles Turner in that category.
Even though you consider him a stretch five, you want to say, he can't take advantage of being open. He's an expiring. Maybe you don't even have to trade for him right now. Maybe you're going to acquire him and sign and trade in the offseason. So is it a possibility? Sure. But he's an expiring, so maybe we'll see it down the line. Or maybe they want to invest in Misi and see if he can go that far. I don't know.
There are a couple of comments here that have mentioned Isaiah Stewart and John Collins, who I actually think both of them would be good third bigs on this team. Assuming this is all with the underlying assumption that you're still continuing to build in this Zion world, right? You're building in the Zion world. You're still trying to win games next season and all that good stuff. I think both of Isaiah Stewart and John Collins would be great change of pace guys. Whether you want to start them, whether you want to bring them off the bench, I'd leave that up to whoever is coaching at that point when the Pelicans will theoretically have these players. However, they fit this mold of, can they play next to Misi? Can they play next to Zion? And that would be what I would be looking for when it comes to that third big. And that way you have a rotating 3-person front court where you can play, you can play fast and athletic. You can play, spaced out. You could play small ball and you can switch things. There are a number of things that you can do. I really enjoy that level of versatility. Yes. John, Derek Queen is one of my favorites in this draft, and unfortunately, Chris, I'm going to keep replying to these comments because these comments are so great. They're just so much to reply here, Chris. I don't think Kelly Olynyk is got much left in the tank. I don't think he's a positive basketball player at this juncture, and not.
Let me be an ambassador for Canada. Stay in Toronto, guy.
Yeah, the other thing is the salary doesn't work on that. So a lot of these deals that people want to happen, you got to make the salary work, and that's an issue in and of itself. Which let's bring it back.
The next comments. I was gonna say the next comment's a very good point as well. That we don't have any seconds to trade.
Yeah, they've traded swaps out to 20, 30, and 31. I think that's how they traded in for the Austin Reeves, Antonio Reeves, not Austin Reeves. I wish they had Austin Reeves. Antonio Reeves.
We all.
Antonio Reeves, second round pick. That's how they traded into it. They traded future second round swaps to get in there. Okay, let's bring the conversation back to CJ and CJ destinations. When you guys survey the league, and I know we've asked this before, who are some teams that pop to the front of your mind that could use Christian James McCollum?
Detroit basketball. I don't want to sound crass. Ivy has had a great third season in the NBA.
He just broke his leg, so
unfortunately, he just broke his leg,
Yeah.
and that opens up a hole at their shooting guard position because I have Tim Hardaway Jr. in my 20 team basketball fantasy team, and buddy, they need an upgrade at shooting guard all of a sudden. So, yeah, I think go there. He has a relationship with Trajan. He'll be a professional scorer to help All-Star Cade Cunningham solidify that backcourt and have him run for a play-in, if not playoff spot. And it's only 2 years.
I love the spot. Beasley's been real good for them recently, but
48 minutes of shooting, 48 minutes of shooting, baby.
I'm with you because I mean, like I said, I was at the game on Friday, and like, man, without Ivy, as soon as he gets to the bench, that gets ugly real fast. And so, like, I can definitely see CJ being fit. I also like the. I saw one commenter on Orlando, and I think we talked about that even before the season. Just needed more shooting there. They've got a ton of length, a ton of defense, and I think they're a team that can handle CJ's defensive shortcomings, and still, I think the fit makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, look, I think both the commonality between those two teams is they're young teams that could use a veteran presence, and CJ doesn't accelerate their timeline too much. I think sometimes you get in the trouble where, like, okay, we swung for a Zach LaVine, we swung for a max level player, and now we've kind of topped out as a first round team or a second round team, and there's really no meaningful pathway to improve. I think for both of these teams, they can get CJ for what effectively amounts to salary relief and second round picks, or it may just be salary relief. There is a trade construct I want to talk about on this pod, and when you hear other people talk about it, make sure to tag me and let them know where you heard it first. It's the Tim Hardaway Jr. and the Simone Fontecchio come to New Orleans, and CJ goes to Detroit. And you can add a couple second round picks from Detroit or a second round pick, whatever. I think, it's very possible that no picks would be involved in this kind of a deal. But what this does is Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't expiring. And Simone Fontecchio only makes around $7.5 million or so, a little under $8 million. And the Pelicans, what they can do is they can absorb Fontecchio's entire salary into their mid-level exception. One of the changes the new CBA allowed for is you can now use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception as a regular trade exception, and you can absorb players into that by trade. So now when they do that, they can generate a larger trade exception when they do the CJ for Tim Hardaway swap. And so what that does is Tim Hardaway makes around $16 million. CJ makes around $33 million. That's a almost $17 million trade exception, which will last until next February or whenever the trade is executed. Sorry, I gotta laugh at this. It's the funky.
Yep, bring it. Yes, it's fantastic.
Dr. Strange. I see all universes, baby.
If you wouldn't have brought it up, I was going to do it immediately, yo. That's hilarious. But since I'm talking, hey, go in the group chat right quick for the three of us. See what I just sent y'all.
Oh my God! Hold on. What did you just send me?
See what I just sent.
It's the deal.
It's the deal. It's the deal that we're talking about.
The deal we're talking about.
Yes, it doesn't really work. Whatever.
Yeah, but I promise you, I'll retweet it if you're on Blue Sky. I'll do it right now.
No. Yeah. So
Bam.
to cut the boringness out of it, if you do this trade, the Pelicans get a $16-17 million trade exception, which lasts a full year, and it can be a little bit more valuable than cap space because the new CBA forces teams to spend up to 90% of their cap space by the start of the season. So you can't just head into the season with a ton of cap space. You can't do that. So the Pelicans could be a team if they don't, use that $17 million to go acquire another player this summer, or, prior to that, they can wait until the February or whenever it's set to expire and hold on to it. And that way, when you have teams looking to dump money, you can be like, hello, we are here. We'll accept your draft picks. We'll take the player. And we've seen a number, how many times have we seen Memphis get a fun pick for just absorbing money? The Desmond Bane pick was literally them absorbing the Enes Kanter contract from the Celtics. And since there's a number of teams that are above the tax threshold in the second apron, people are gonna want to shed money. It's just gonna happen. And so these trade exceptions can be advantageous, provided you have the adequate room yourself under the tax to be able to take on these contracts. So that's where I'm at with that.
Is that, are you at a place where that's no picks? You just do that. Just because of the cap, because of the expiring the cap relief, you're good.
Yeah, if I got to February 6th or whatever the deadline is, 3 p.m., and that's the deal that was on the table, absolutely. I think it's just that, like, the opportunity cost that you're probably hinting at is what can you do with CJ this summer? What can you do with CJ as a $30 million expiring contract? Can you turn that into something that can, is a better player? Can you break that into multiple pieces? Are you able to do more than that? I guess, do you guys think that they can do something? Hold on, this comment's distracted me. Justin says, can I get you guys a subscription or something like a skill share so you can learn how to profit?
I like the fact that I look like I'm in the darkness. I'm doing this intentionally. I don't know what you're talking about, Justin. I don't need proper lighting. I have a $20 mic. You think I care about the lighting?
I'm the most guilty because I got two monitors here, and then when they go, one flash is dark, my whole shit all messes up. So I'm guilty as charged.
Hey man, I feel like my room is lit, so you can see my face. Anyways,
my life is lit. How about that, Justin? My life is lit.
So yeah, do you? So I'll put it back to you guys. Let's say they don't get a CJ deal done. You have a $30 million CJ expiring this summer. What do you think they can do with that?
My question wasn't refuting that it wasn't enough value, because to me,
I'm just saying, I'm thinking out loud here.
It would have been and I know, like before we were saying we'll have to pay a couple seconds or something to get off his contract, seconds that Pelicans don't have, as noted previously. But I think it's more than enough. But yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to know without knowing kind of the landscape this summer. But I don't think it'll be easy.
I'd rather not do this song and dance with an expiring contract again in the off season.
Yeah,
I think if they can move off of CJ's contract in the middle of this year without having to give up any draft assets, you just do it.
Yes. Yep. That is the number one thing with this team that's hurt them. I don't know if it's the number one thing, but it's been a major commonality. The JJ Redick expiring. The argument was to move him in the summer. Theoretically, he had higher value. He had none. Was going to get bought out eventually. They got a second round pick for him, and there was a whole fiasco. JV's expiring. Najee's expiring. They've had a number of these dudes come down. I mean, obviously, we're going through it with the Brandon Ingram situation. So if at any point it's not costing you to move off CJ, it's a win. It's just a win.
So, and as you said, he's used to these trade rumors. So, I mean, since Bill Simmons was trying to move him from Ben Simmons a decade ago, so he used to it.
Bill put out a very elaborate trade that it was like a 4-team trade that got Jimmy to, I think, Memphis or Golden State or something, and Zion to Miami. And then he tweeted, sorry, CJ, I couldn't fit you in this time. And CJ had a funny, like, after all these years, Bill,
More importantly, Bill Simmons is moving Zion to that wonderful, loving, thoughtful, carrying organization, which is the Miami Heat, who just suspended their player because he took a floating 3-point jumper. That thoughtful, loving organization that Bill Simmons is talking.
Let's talk about that for a second with what's going on with Jimmy, because I think it is at some level pertinent to the Pelicans, because I think whatever ends up happening with Jimmy will play a role in what ends up happening with Brandon. And it could be that those two are in the same deal, just headed to different locations. And I'm not saying that the Pelicans are going to go trade for Jimmy. I don't think that makes any sense for them financially. I don't think that makes any sense for them on the court. I'm saying that there could be a 3 or more team construct where those two pieces move.
Excuse me, are you suggesting trickle down trade rumors with Jimmy and Brandon?
Oh man. But yeah, so the Jimmy situation, I think, talking to people around the league, Miami obviously didn't want to do anything there. I think they would have preferred this thing to be quiet and he can just expire as a contract, because he's saying, I'm going to opt out, right? He hasn't placed a player option for, I think, $52 million next season, and he was planning on opting out. I think Miami was like, please opt out, just please. And however, this situation has obviously come to a head, and the Heat are done, absolutely done with Jimmy, to the point where they've suspended him, as Jeremy said. And now what's happening is they're trying to get a deal done as quickly as possible. And generally, again, deadlines are what spur action. This is one of those abnormal situations where there's not a deadline in place, but it's rather a toxic entity on your franchise that is spurring action. And we've seen, other instances where toxic entities get moved with lightning quickness. We've seen Kevin Porter Jr. get traded from the Cavs for throwing a bowl of soup at his coach or whatever he did. Was that J.R. Smith? I don't know who it was.
That was
J.R.
Kevin Porter also had a toxic situation.
I thought he also threw some food.
No, he should have been in prison, and that's why he got traded.
Well, yeah.
But Jimmy Butler has done this before with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This isn't his first rodeo.
No, it's not his first rodeo. Obviously they had the whole Miles Leonard thing where he got moved with swiftness, and anytime there's an action that needs to be taken, teams usually find a way to take it. Now, I think what the issue that the Heat are running into is Jimmy makes a quadrillion dollars, and the teams that would actually want him are kind of hamstrung.
Quadrillion.
He makes so much money, man, and he plays like 12 games a year, like hard.
He plays hard for 4 of those 12 games that he plays.
Yeah,
he's ready for the postseason.
Yeah, and so I think what's funny is like they've kind of locked themselves in a situation where like the Suns who are falling apart. The Suns, who, Jeremy, can you remind us of their net rating over the last month?
Let me go to that. So, counting today, the Pelicans are 3-11 since December 5th. You want to know who's right above them? The Phoenix Suns, who are 3-10 since December 5th. Yeah. With Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, they are a half game ahead of the Pelicans since December 5th.
That's right. The Phoenix Suns, who have a good coach, who have a bunch of superstars, who have no clue how to win, and are like, what do we do with Yusuf Nurkic? And what do we do with all these guys that we gave so much money to? And let me tell you, what they want to do is they want to go get Jimmy Butler. The issue is Bradley Beal has a no trade contract. He also makes a quadrillion dollars like Jimmy. The Miami Heat are like, we don't want this. We don't want this at all. And the Suns are out of everything to trade. They traded all their firsts to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant, and they traded all their swaps and their second round picks to Washington for Bradley Beal, which is, again, a complete unforced error.
And who may not be as good as CJ McCollum right now especially because of his back.
No, I don't think he is. I don't think, I think CJ plays more games. I think he is less likely to rock the boat. And I think CJ doesn't come with any kind of pretense of, I am that dude. I think Bradley Beal, at least in spurts, thinks he is that dude because that is what he did in Washington for 11 years or however long he was there.
Shouts out to KD telling CJ to be a 6-man for a winning team and not have to deal with Brad Bill. Not probably want to be a 6-man for them to win. They have better defense. But hey.
Yeah. And so, look, I think with this Butler situation, there's a non-zero chance something happens rather quickly and before February 6th. Obviously, February 6th is literally a month away. So anything that needs to happen for any team is going to happen relatively quickly. It's literally a month away. But with this Jimmy thing, might happen in 2 weeks, or less. And if that happens, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's a chance Brandon could be a part of that, and Brandon ends up in Miami. What I struggle to figure out is the 3 or 4 team construction that gets the Pelicans things that they might use.
Before Kuminga got hurt, I thought Golden State was like a good landing spot. Everyone's saying Memphis could be a spot. Does Pat Riley want to deal with a no trade clause? Does he want to lose power in negotiating in every negotiation when it comes to Brad Bill? Because that was the issue when they thought about bringing him in the pair with Jimmy Butler. They didn't want to have Brad Bill's no trade clause, who, by the way, he has showed every non-real all NBA player to make the most money possible and to get every negotiation tactic. Sign the 2+1, get 10 years, force them to give you 35%, put a no trade clause because you're the quote best player. He did everything right, but now it's the biggest hampering issue when in a negotiation because he controls everything. He controls where he wants to go, when he wants to go, and how it happens.
Yeah. So again, let's see if we can brainstorm things that might come back for Brandon Ingram. Let's say the destination is, because if it's Phoenix, I think it'd just be a 1-for-1 trade, and Phoenix is already second apron out, so there's already they gotta So Phoenix has other issues. If it's Golden State, who Golden State says we don't want to trade Wiggins, we don't trade Kuminga, we're not a part of this. I think the Pelicans would not be.
Marcus Smart, you want New Orleans Pelican?
No, I don't think Memphis is when you look at the Southwest. So again, I want to finish my point about Golden State. I think the Pelicans are not interested in being the team that gets to decide if they want to pay Jonathan Kuminga. I think if it was Andrew Wiggins and like Buddy Hield or Kyle Anderson, or whatever those smaller contracts are that aren't long term, and then some mild draft capital, Pelicans I think would be cool with that. Wiggins is a rotation player. He's had a resurgence of a year. They're not tied to any of these other things. They don't want, was it 27 million, 26 million tied to Wiggins, and then you get another 26 tied to Kuminga because, well, you traded for Kuminga, you can't let him go. Like, no, I don't think they want any part of that. The Southwest, I've talked to a few folks around the league. I don't think Houston is interested in Jimmy Butler, nor should they be. I think Houston has an eye on this summer. I think they're big game hunting. They're going to look for what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. They're going to look for what's going to happen with Devin Booker. They're going to look for what's going to happen with De'Aaron Fox. They're going to look for what's going to happen with Giannis. I think they're younger, better players that they have their eyes set on. They're ahead of schedule. They have no need to be like, let's just rush into this without even finding out what this group can do in their first playoff run together. Likewise, I think our friend Adam got on here, said San Antonio is super particular about who they put around Wemby and what they're trying to do around Wemby. And I think that level of particularity applies to Jimmy Butler. I don't think they would be interested either. OKC's never going to take on this kind of a risk in the middle of the season. The Memphis Grizzlies, who people are trying to, I think, wish this into, are just as allergic to the luxury tax as the New Orleans Pelicans. And that would be one super expensive roster that I don't think, they're getting a ton of productivity from their rookie contract players, so that helps. But I just fail to see Kleinman, like, again, pushing his chips in for Jimmy Butler. I do think they'd be super interested in Cam Johnson, right? That's a safer play, more attuned with the ages of their core, right? With Jaren Jackson and Ja and whatnot. Yeah, look, I keep spitballing these teams. I just can't. Dallas, I feel like Dallas would do it. They're with Luka. They don't got anything to lose. I just don't know if they have the. Oh God, I love this one from F Funky. Let's get Jimmy back to Minnesota.
But no, let's think about it, right? So if we're trying to 3-team it, does I guess McDaniels and Nas Reed are like the big money makers? And could you turn Nas Reed in something not
I mean, you trade Randall, bro.
Oh yeah, he is there. Oh God. So what Randall and like I say is McDaniels or Nas, that's the other big matching salary to go there. And do you like I say Nas Reed plus whatever matches, whatever salary
So
gets you to
they can't
BI?
do that, right? They are a second apron team who
Oh, that's
cannot
right.
aggregate.
Man, look,
Which is
yeah,
like,
these owners cutting their noses despite their face because they wanted to find an excuse to not pay all this money in luxury tax. It's just dumb. You're hampering player movement for no reason. You hampered player movement for no reason.
no,
I've
I
never
think there's going
understood
to
it.
be a lot of player movement. See, this is where I push back on this, right? I think when this stuff happened, was always going to be a predictable crunch. I wrote about it 2 years ago. I was like, okay, they got all these rules. All of these teams have been building with the previous rule set in mind. They're not going to be prepared for when this stuff is going to happen. And so there's going to be a small window, a small period where it's going to be ugly for a lot of teams who are like, A, trying to learn the rules as they go, B, trying to be like, fuck it, we don't care about these rules. That's going to create some stagnation. And then you're going to have a great, I think you're going to have a situation where all these teams are trying to get off money and they just can't. And they're just kind of stuck with it. After this little hump, what's going to happen is this cap is going to rise 10% year over year over year over year for 5 years. It's going to be a decompression. First, you have the crunch. Now you have the expansion. And what has happened in the past with when the cap rises is money gets thrown around wildly again. Picks get thrown around wildly again. And players start moving, wildly again. And I think that is what's going to happen when the cap raises. Obviously, I think free agency is a little bit free agency has been nerfed to my belief. I think extensions are going to be a big part of how teams operate moving forward. You want to kind of get the guy in the building and then extend him out to a reasonable amount and then just kind of figure out. But I do think there'll be player movement. It's just be a matter of, can we get past this crunch right now that the whole league is in?
The pre-agency where you get traded to your next destination.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, and keep your bird rights.
100%. I mean, that the bird rights are going to play an enormous role. And yeah, I think this is going to be fine. It's just that we all knew that this crunch was coming, and you're just going through it right now, and it sucks to go through it. And when you're going through it
right now, when
yeah.
Jimmy Butler is available and he makes it hard, I'm in favor of tampering. I'm always in favor of tampering, John. But right now, for all the players, the people Jimmy yelled that aren't there. Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, but right now, Jimmy Butler back to Minnesota would be a great fit, in my opinion. I think he and Ant would get along so well for the reasons why he didn't get along with Cat and Wiggins to a certain extent. Like, I think they would love each other. But I don't know how to get them there.
They can't. They just can't do it. They'd have to find a way to dip out of the second apron first. And then that goes into like teams just don't hold cap space anymore. So like, how are you going to do that? Like maybe there's something there that they can swing with Detroit, who does have, I think like 14, 15 million in space left because of the Paul Reed shenanigans. Shout out Keith for coming on the pod and absolutely nailing that. They'd have to dip under the second apron, and then they'd have to cobble together salary to go get Jimmy. And it's just like, how are you going to jump through all these hoops to make it work? I mean, they can. It's technically possible.
Dallas feels like the answer, one of a good answer. I mean, you can match. They can match salary. I was just talking. I was like, they can basically just. I feel like they won't have a bench, but you can go. You can roll out. I think they can still match. You can keep Kyrie, Clay, Luka, Jimmy Butler, and Lively, and just have nothing else, and just trade everything else and match salary for Jimmy. And they've got picks, right, to move.
Yeah, that's a good starting point.
I mean,
that's so.
That sounds like a title team, man.
That's so hard. I keep coming back to Brooklyn. So when these things happen, what you look for is meddlesome owners. And what meddlesome owners do is they get in the way of the best laid plans that your GM might have. And Sean Marks, I'm sure our friend dear Sean Marks would love to get Dylan Harper or Cooper Flagg in this draft. The Nets are winning, comfortable with, but still seventh, Can the Nets, acquire Jimmy at a late enough date to where it doesn't, functionally mess up their tank? Can they, outsource some of their tanking, because they have like 16 first round picks and like 16 second round picks or something like that, right? They have a lot of picks. Are they going to be like, all right, we can get Jimmy in now. We can go get, another star in the summer. We're going to be relevant again. We're going to be a playoff team again. We don't have to tank. We can do the middle build, and we have all of these picks that'll keep, we can get different bites of the apple.
Hey, check what I just sent y'all.
Oh boy.
You actually
say it out loud.
You're out your damn mind, man.
Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
On no planet, the Sacramento Kings doing what you just sent to me in a text.
the planet that Vivek Ranadive inhabits. We just talk about a Middleton owner who wants to get things done and has already fired his head coach.
All right. So I do applaud you for getting both Brandon and CJ to Miami.
Yes, sir.
So pause for a second.
Yeah, we got to share the trade. We got to share the trade.
We got to let the listeners know what the monstrosity Jeremy just sent us. Okay, 3-team trade. The Miami Heat acquire Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. They are a +0. It's a net even trade for them. So really good job there on the dollar for dollar. The Pelicans acquire Duncan Robinson, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray. Kings acquire Jimmy Butler, Pell Larson. Shout out Pell Larson for being a trade machine MVP.
He's the MVP.
And Yves Missi. I'm sorry, Pelicans fans. That's right, Yves Missi. So the Pelicans are sending out Brandon, CJ, and Yves, and acquiring Duncan, Sabonis, and Keegan. And yeah, I would do that trade. Why would the Kings do that trade?
Can I introduce you in vet? The guy who just fired his good head coach.
Oh my God, he's another guy that's
what I'm saying.
That they're another team. They're another team that's after Cam Johnson. That guy, Marks is probably going to get another 2 or 3 picks for Cam Johnson. And again, are they? I'm gonna put this comment here from our friend Robert. He says the Nets are hoarding cap space to go star hunting next summer, probably through uneven trades since there's no stars in the free agent class. So back to the concept of pre-agency. If you've got all of these picks, got more picks than you could possibly use, why not just make your roster competitive? Okay, since you're making monster trades, Jeremy, I'm going to task you with coming up with a trade that gets both Brandon and Jimmy to Brooklyn. You could do it, dude. They got Nets. They have Ben Simmons' $40 million expiring.
Yeah, that's the expiring contract.
They have D'Angelo's expiring. I don't even know who else is on their roster, man. They have Nick Claxton.
You guys talk. I'm gonna try to figure this out. Hold on.
Anyways, there's a lot of trade spitballing going on here. I think for the Pelicans, there are a few things to be mindful of. One, just kind of doing some housekeeping here. One, Zion should be returning soon. I think, the goal was he would be ready for the first week in January. We're still technically a part of that right now. I do think, I think the Pelicans organization will never admit to this, but I think that there are people that are okay with him taking a game or two longer than he needs to come back for aforementioned lottery odds. I don't, I don't want anyone to get in trouble, but I don't think they're actively trying to tank or anything. However, just putting that out there. Brandon Ingram has progressed to weight bearing stuff. Previously, he was in a walking boot and not doing weight bearing things. It's still not doing contact or anything like that. Not like ramping up for a return to play. So, but there has been a progression there. Obviously, Jose came back, and the Pelicans are undefeated in the games that Jose has come back and played in. So hopefully that streak is really good, right? It's going to continue.
Spot Track's trade machine is not working properly right now. It doesn't work.
Good. They should take that away from you. They said he's done too much. Yeah, no, I think so. With regards to trade stuff, obviously it's been reported that they're not looking to shop Herb Jones, Trey Murphy in BC. Mark Stein added Jordan Hawkins to that group. I'm a little bit skeptical of that one. I think he's more gettable than the first three. Let's just put it that way. It's the three-headed dragon meme, and then that one of the ones yeah. That's that one. I think the Pelicans would love for a team to blow them away for any one of these players. Like if a team just descended and we're like, oh, we're offering 5 picks. I think the Pelicans would love to have something where they can meaningfully pivot in their direction of the team. And that includes Zion. That includes, obviously, I think most likely the thing is Brandon's going to be gone, just a matter of February or the summer. But yeah, I would say it's crickets right now when it comes to the trade market. Got 4 weeks though.
Deadlines matter.
People are calling about Herb. Many people in this division are calling about Herb Jones, and I think the Pelicans are very clear that if you want a Herb Jones, think of a McCall trade. Think of something along those lines. Like think of the Drew Holiday trade that the Pelicans did earlier, right? Like think of something along those lines, and then come talk to us. And of course, if you're Memphis or if you're Houston or if you're Dallas, like those trades are a little risky at this moment. If you're going to spend that much draft capital, what else can you get?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and people probably roll their eyes at that ask, but at the same time, there's that contract, given all how punitive it can be to have an expensive team these days, having Herb Jones at the dollar amount that the Pelicans signed him for a couple of years is it's a precious luxury,
Yeah.
I mean, even if the shooting isn't 40%, it's like he's getting paid the same amount that the number 1 overall pick next year is going to make, and he's already proven
basically.
That's mid-level contract, and he's a proven winner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to see Herb go. If you offer 3 first-round picks, I mean, I can root for her for another uniform.
Yeah, look, I think there is a level of reality we just got done talking about how the Pelicans haven't been good at moving guys at their peak value. And so if an offer, I'm not saying they're an offer like that's on the table. I don't think anyone's offered something like that. But if an offer like that materializes, that's a conversation you got to have. Herb doesn't have the longest contract, right? He's going to be due for an extension. And what do you do then? Or are you at the point on your team where, like, when he's up for that next contract, like, does he even make sense for your team, right? Does he even want to be here? So it's just like those are all things that you got to consider. So this would after this year, Herb would have 2 more years left on his deal. So I mean, like you're kind of approaching that peak value time period where I don't think something has to get done this February. I think between now and next February is probably that peak window of maximum Herb value. And if our offer comes along that way and your team is not competing at a high level, you got to consider it. You just got to consider it. Our friend, I know Mason loves draft talk. So does Jeremy. He's probably going to go way over your guys' head. John says, if Herb gets me Derek Queen, do it.
Hey, John, I know more about Dairy Queen than Derek Queen. All right, like I'm not. I just watched my first college basketball game yesterday because there was nothing else on TV. You guys throw those names around and it's Greek to me, but
I would say, um, John, it's very likely the Pelicans are in the range to draft Derek in with their own pick, regardless of Herb or not, right? Like he's to fill both of you two in, he's a prospect right now. He's a 6'10, 6'11 big man. A lot of skills. He's not the quickest player, but he's like he can shoot the ball, he can dribble. Kind of I'm trying to think of like the best comps for him. And a comp I made early in the season was like he kind of reminds me of like a smaller Boogie in the sense, like the way he kind of moves around the court and kind of the skills that he has. But he's been one of the most productive freshmen in all of college basketball. And I think if the draft were to happen today, he'll be a top 10 pick, but I don't think he would be a top 3 pick. He might not even be a top 4 pick. So if if the Pelicans are in this like 5th, 6th range, that is a healthy range for him, and I would select him in that range. And I don't think you need Herb to get there, John. I think they could do that themselves. Yeah. Our
it
friend
ain't taking
Robert
if you
was
just
saying.
it ain't taking if you're already losing, but
Right. Yeah, our friend Robert was saying, he's saying Queen is Sengun-ish, which is I think that's a little bit. I think Sengun was a much better passer in Turkey before he even came into the draft. But I do what I like about how Queen plays is he really uses his physicality. Like he knows that he's bigger than a lot of people and he takes advantage of it. We're getting into the draft weeds that you guys are just like, oh no.
hey,
Oh, no.
We're gonna have to get there. Man, we have to get there eventually.
Nah, I'm gonna start
the
praying
season
for
we
a
got.
winning streak, bro. I want to hold this off as long as we can.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've covered a good number of things here. Let's put a bow on it for now. I know Jeremy has a few things he wants to say before he takes us home.
I know the homie DeJounte Murray has been, the thorn of some people's sides. I get it. He has some mind-numbing plays at times, but I just wanted to rattle off some stats from December 1st. He's leading the league in total, or second in total steals behind Dyson Daniels. He's not the great barrier thief, but he's all right at getting steals. He's also 5th in total assists, and without being 1st in total turnovers. Shouts out James Harden, and he's 3rd for guards in total rebounds. So like he's giving some production outside the ball, not going in the basket all the time. So he's doing more good than he has been harmful the especially like last week and a half. I think he's played some pretty decent basketball. It just has some very loud mistakes. Very loud mistakes. But I think he's been doing better as this game has progressed, as he's getting more as comfortable as he can with the hand. I think he's been playing well. And lastly, the offense, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it's been crisper, it's been faster paced, and it's 17th in the half court, despite not getting ending rebounds and despite missing a lot of shots. They still are making things happen in the half court. So I want to bring some positivity, especially because of this 2-game winning streak that is stopping guys from going to Tankathon for at least a couple days.
I have a couple of stats to add to that, and they're probably not fully up to date because I haven't checked them since the Miami game, I believe. But since Brandon Ingram's injury, the Pelicans are been 15th in rim and 3 rate. They were in the bottom 5, frequently 30th prior to that. And then their shot quality per play-by-play stats.com Their model tries to take into account expected value from where you're taking your shots. Their shot quality has actually been 8th in the league. And so the process is improving. It's just a matter of good quality shots are great if you have good players taking them. And to their credit, there a lot of those good players have come back, and CJ's starting to hit, and Trey's obviously been phenomenal. We didn't get a chance to really talk about Trey, but I think with DeJounte, to your point, he won't really admit it outright. The hand is not right. The hand is not right. The elbow is not right. He can't miss a game due to his incentives. So he's trying so hard to keep playing. Just to again, also just like be there for his team. I think he to him it's a point of pride. And then obviously he has a lot of stuff going on off the court where his just mental is just not necessarily in the spot that it needs to be, with his mom having the stroke and being in the hospital and all that. So it's just one of those things where I would not be surprised if next season you get a very different DeJounte than the one you have this season.
Yep. I'm here to ruin everyone's good time because I did the one tankathon spin as are doing every pod. And boy, do I have bad news for y'all because we fell 2 spots to 4. But the worst thing is that the number 1 pick went to the Suns, who then have to give it to the Houston Rockets. So the Rockets Rockets get number 1.
Hey, take that side away the way they try to take away the trade machine.
That's what I'm saying. You're banned. You're banned from the trade machine. You're banned from Tankathon. And we're just not gonna touch those things. Nope. Not doing it. We're putting a blanket ban.
I think this is a great time, great place for us to try to call them tonight. Because I can't make trades and you cannot make any more spins.
Well, you say that, but I just did one more. The Pelicans are 1, and the next 4 teams are all Eastern Conference teams. So that we just got the second spin, which doesn't count because I have to do 1 each time. But the second spin was the best possible outcome.
Oh my god! All right, Jay, take us home, baby.
All right. A great weekend of hoops. If you are a fan of the other team in this city, the season's over, and on the last play of that season, a certain individual got his 1,000 receiving yards, and I'm going to be as shameless as he was to get that record and beg and plead and jump around mentally. Please get us 1,000 subscriptions the way he got 1,000 yards. Can we get 1,000 subscribers? I'm not gonna ask for. Hey, he got 3 million for making his happen. I'm just asking for the 1,000 the 1,000 yards he has. Can we do that? Can we Mike Evans this podcast? Can we do that?
For those of you guys who are in the chat, we did, because of your continued support, we did become eligible for like the super chats and stuff. So that's now an option in the chat. So that's why Jeremy over here has been asking for more subscribers, because when we hit 1,000, we become more eligible for more stuff.
Yes.
So
yes. And hey, what is it, Justin? If you put in for super chats and you get 1,000 subscribers,
we'll buy him a lamp.
We'll buy him a lamp. I'll get a better mic.
I'll buy him an Instagram influencer.
No. You have to get us to 1,000 subscribers, and then we'll get the advertising money, and then I'll get another lamp. You see how
the whole
works?
setup.
I told you, I'm shameless. I'm going full Mike Evans here. It's shameless right now. Y'all thought I was bad. Y'all said I was on the payroll last week. You don't understand how little shame I have when it comes to this. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being in the chat. We appreciate y'all so much.
Yep. Appreciate everybody. And,
hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yep. Happy New Year to everybody. And we'll see you next time.